Welcome to the 86 Reason podcast, and we're recording in Philly at the Philly podcast space, and I'm here with an old friend, Sande Friedman.
Yeah, hi.
And I'm very excited to see you.
I'm so excited to see you.
It's going to be a fun day. It's like towards the end of summer. We're going into what everybody says is the beginning of the busy season. I don't buy that. I usually think it's October.
It's definitely October.
Yeah, right?
Maybe last week of September if you're lucky.
And I feel like, Sande, at this point, you've been a fixture in this restaurant scene in Philly, and maybe more, because I don't know a ton about your background. I'm super excited to learn more about your story and where you're from. And I guess to start, do you remember your first restaurant or hospitality gig?
Oh, absolutely. I worked at a coffee shop in high school. But more than the money, I was really excited you got to bring home like any muffins that hadn't sold at the end of the day. So, we didn't waste even back then.
Little things.
Little things. So I was like, wow, this is so nice.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Montclair in North Jersey.
Okay.
But we're kind of like I don't want to insult my parents, but we were like, they did it for the school district. We were on the edge by Clifton.
You're allowed to insult whoever you want.
I'm not insulting them. I was going to say, it's kind of like the old, would you rather live in the nicest house in the worst town or the worst house in the nicest town?
I guess it depends on the muffins.
Our house is very nice, but...
okay. But you're on the funky...
Sorry, mom and dad. No,
Is this the first time you're admitting this to them?
Maybe. No, recently I've had people, when I say Montclair, like look at me in a way because of what it's become. It's, it's very pricey, New Jersey.
Yeah. The university's like a thing, right?
Oh yeah. There's a lot going on up there.
Yeah.
My parents bought in the 70s and
it's,
let's say the house has great bones. My husband can't wait to work on it one day, but
all right. Well, at least now the cat's out of the bag.
Sorry, mom and dad.
So growing up, was that your first job? Was it working in this cafe?
So what did I do? Geez, I did so many short-term things. I worked in a make your own jewelry store, like a bead store. I made $5 an hour. That was a cool time back in the day.
You got to tell me which of these places still exist. Is that place?
None of them.
No, I would. Okay.
I worked in a Thai restaurant for a while.
In a Thai restaurant?
Yep. But serving, mispronouncing a lot of things. It was a wild time too.
No way.
And then my best friend, who still lives in Philly, who does my fancy nails, she worked at an amazing sushi restaurant, Daikichi, that just recently closed.
They're all closing.
Everything good is closing.
So sad.
It's very miserable. But she was the counter girl there
at the sushi restaurant.
At the sushi restaurant.
Okay.
For years.
This is in Montclair.
Yeah. And I would serve, but I played sports. I got a varsity letter managing the swim team.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you were already the boss.
I am an overachiever to
back
the max.
then.
Yeah, a little bit.
Wait, so you were managing the swim team?
So
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
What does that entail?
I wanted a varsity letter, so I went to the practices. I recorded all the stats and just kind of helped with organizing buses.
So you were doing inventory even then?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I played field hockey and lacrosse, but I tore my meniscus and part of my ACL. No. And I was like, well, I really want this varsity letter. I've already decided I'm getting one. So hence I managed the swim team.
You're a goal setter and you're a goal getter.
Exactly. Not almost to a fault. Absolutely to a fault at times.
It's definitely to a fault.
It's definitely to a fault. And that's what restaurant industry is great for.
Oh, setting that unattainable goal that you'll strive for every day.
Yeah.
Let's get into that.
Here's my goal. It depends on the weather, the environment, and everybody else around me.
Seriously. And a pandemic, potentially.
And a pandemic, and the city of Philadelphia with or the state of Pennsylvania, let's say, with our archaic liquor laws. Yeah, no, all the good stuff.
It's old school. We love tradition. Gosh, we'll get into the PLCV. So,
oh my God.
So You're in Jersey.
Mhm.
How did you make your way to Philly? How did you land here?
So I spent a lot of high school hanging out in New York City, like all the cool kids did, because there was just a bus.
And I feel like
And-
it's very hard to break away from the idea that New York is so much bigger.
Yes.
There's better shows. There's more restaurants. It's like, and it's a chip on the shoulder of many Philadelphians.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was a born and bred Philadelphian, and I very seldom went to New York. One, it's big and chaotic and overwhelming. And two, they just fucking think they're better than everybody.
Yeah, that's a thing that's been going forever. But you know,
the city,
But
right? The city.
I don't know. Like we all hung out there. We were into comedy clubs as teenagers.
That's
I was
cool.
Obviously buying 40s anywhere that wouldn't card me.
Yeah,
but, you know,
I feel like that's an advanced thing to do as a high schooler.
I also really definitely have to tell my parents not to listen to this. I'm realizing
we're gonna skip all of this. Yeah,
this
absolutely.
No. That's fine. So I had a 10 years older sister, and they were very
hyper. Show you about the 40s?
She showed me a lot of things.
I'm sure she did. We won't put her on Front Street for this show.
No.
All right.
But so I hung out a lot with her and her friends.
Okay.
And she went to Rutgers. So I was either like kind of bopping around the city, visiting friends or visiting my sister. I just had like a very exploratory New Jersey style growing up.
I like that.
Yeah, there's a
lot of trains and stuff.
So many trains.
Yeah.
Okay. Take that, Biden. I got more trains than you. That sounds weird.
Yeah, take that, Biden. I hope it makes it to him.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, but so I applied to a ton of schools in New York, and my parents were wonderful. They saved a lot for college.
Okay.
And when I told them where I was applying, they were like, "Okay, you're kind of an idiot, but just so you know, if you would consider any other city, like we'll be able to put more towards your education."
Okay. Because were you dead set on New York?
I was. I wanted to go to Pratt.
I know Pratt.
Yeah.
Pratt,
I wanted to go for
Brooklyn Bridge, right?
Yeah. I wanted to go for museum studies and curatorship and all kinds of stuff. But I applied to a few other schools to kind of get them off my back, and I ended up getting a pretty significant ride to Temple. So my parents met in Philly. My mom grew up all around. My dad grew up in Chicago, but he went to Penn. And at some point, I forget if it's the Drexel Library or the Penn Library burned down. One of them did. This is like, again, and
they had to go to the opposite library for studies.
So my parents met at the library when my mom was doing her library sciences master's, which I also now have for myself. So yeah.
Okay, so hold on. So you grew up in a family of, so was your mom like a career education, like
she was a career children's librarian, and she still is. She won't retire.
Where is she, in Montclair?
She is in Kearney, but they still live in Montclair.
And okay, I think of the still of a library, the quiet kind of setup, and it's quite the opposite of what your current situation is.
A little bit.
And so first off, I'm guessing you spent a lot of time in libraries growing up.
I did. And if there was a day off from school or in the summer, I would go to work with my mom.
Okay.
If I went with my dad, so my mom is a children's librarian. My dad was a criminal defense lawyer in Newark.
There's a lot of books, a lot of words.
There.
Yeah.
So it was just more pleasant to go to work with her in the subject matter and freedom. Yeah.
And I'm guessing you must love reading. And
I do love reading. Since I've had a child, I admit I mostly read books to him and fall asleep when I read.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But one day I'll get back to it.
Somebody's getting to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when you went to school for library, what was it? Library sciences?
So I got my BA in journalism and American studies. And then I stayed in restaurants.
This is at Temple?
That was at Temple. I graduated in 2010. And I had started working in restaurants already. I had worked at Villani, which is now closed. I was hosting there.
Where was Villani?
It was like 12th and Spruce.
My gosh, I'm trying to...
Villani. When? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I hosted there. That was a wild time.
This is during Temple.
This is during Temple. I guess I was a sophomore or junior. And then when I was in my last year of college, I started at the Hard Rock Cafe on Market Street.
No way. As?
Oh, a server.
So you worked at the Hard Rock?
I worked at the Hard Rock for like 2.5 years, man.
No.
And I have never made so much money in my life.
Have you been back there?
No. I'm still like internet in touch with a few people, but
I've never.
You didn't know
You're
that?
the first person I've ever met that worked at the Hard Rock.
Yeah. Well, I finished college. I was working there and I was like, well, I'm financially quite comfortable, so I'm just going to hang out and figure it out. And
because Hard Rock was crushing?
There's the convention centers right there. So it was definitely like time-based, but overall, like chain restaurants have structure.
They certainly
They
do.
absolutely have structure. They have, scaling opportunity. You can grow in all kinds of different ways. And I did a lot with their volunteer program. I volunteered at Pause. We did all kinds of stuff. And
cool.
It worked for where I was. And my goal was not to move home. Right. And I had just gotten this degree in journalism and American studies. And at all of my internships, it just seemed like everybody was buying clothes or buying food to like hang out in the workspace and then still living with their parents. This is, kind of pre-mega internet times, but
I'm sure that much of what you're saying rings true to this day.
Yeah. So it was just one of those things where I had needed a moment.
You had your own little world in Philly.
Yeah.
And you're working at the Hard Rock.
I'm working at the Hard Rock. Except then, of course, a few months later, I looked down at myself and have you ever seen the uniform?
No, I don't know that. Listen, I don't think I've ever even stepped foot into a single Hard Rock across the entire world.
How dare you? No.
I know. Well, honestly, because the Hard Rock, I think of I have stepped into a Hard Rock. My buddy ran the one in Atlantic City.
Oh, nice. That's like the highest tier.
Is that the highest tier? And I've heard the Hard Rock in Lisboa, Portugal has great food. Does it? I'm like, you know what? They actually prep there. It's not all frozen.
Yeah. At least, 14 years ago. That's how it was. I hope it's the same. They redeck them every 10 years and like move all the memorabilia around, which was really cool. Huh. So, it was just a thing that worked at the time, except then I was standing on Market Street. So the uniform is like a nurse's dress and white sneakers. Like a little.
When you say a nurse's dress,
it was tiny.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I mean, I could have worn a bigger size, but it was a small dress. You wore white sneakers. It was a thing. And
is that still the uniform?
I don't know. I don't go on Market Street if I don't have to.
Fair enough.
But
that's for another podcast.
Exactly. But no, I just kind of looked down at myself at one point and was like, okay, I'm good. That was enough of this.
You're done.
And I just didn't really I love writing. I love research, and just kind of on a whim applied to Drexel to the same program my mom had done for her master's and got accepted. And so that was another 2-year program, another big chunk of change. And
your mom wasn't like, no,
she was like, this is the best decision of your life. Nothing will ever be as good. And then I was like, okay, Mom, thanks.
Parents know best.
So I studied digital library sciences, essentially. So it's a lot about...
That was a thing?
That was a thing. It's still a thing.
Digital library sciences.
So archival studies is kind of involved in there, but not the actual treatment of rare books. And it's a lot about, indexing, proper research, how to find information about anything that's actually verifiable. And again, remember, this was before Google was as big as it is. But
oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
So you pour your heart into what is a very niche type of study.
So it's niche, but it's something you can apply to any topic, right? And like what I liked about journalism was I'm finding out all these stories and pieces of information that I wouldn't have looked for necessarily otherwise. And this was a way to kind of stay in that training lane, but hopefully find more job options. I didn't know what the job options were going to be. I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, but.
Yeah, but you have this incredible example of your mom and obviously a career she's left and she's still doing.
Oh, yeah.
But it's kind of like it's like a double-edged sword because I feel like those people never leave those jobs, right?
They don't. They don't. Well, there's pensions involved if you work for the state and all kinds of stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So did you do any restaurant work while you're at Drexel?
Yes. So I kind of decided to do full swoop change, and I left Hard Rock and I got hired at Tria.
Okay.
Which then became the next 5 years of my life, pretty much.
And was this while you're doing your grad studies?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And had you had any real deep love for wine, or was it just like, were you working at the University City store? Like, what was it that compelled you for Tria?
Oh man, I did. Craigslist. They were always hiring. But
I remember when Craigslist was the shit. I used to find everything on Craigslist.
Honestly, I was really into beer at the time. I dated some dude for a few minutes who was really into craft beer, but he was into like Castile Rouge and Schneider Aventinus and like.
Okay.
So we would hang out at Jose Pistola's a lot. It was again, these are all life phases.
And Monks.
But you know, Pistola's was like around the corner from where I was living at the time too.
Okay.
So they just, but with Tria, I mean, they had an ad out.
Okay.
And,
was it for server?
I think I applied for server and they made me start as support.
Okay.
So at the time, I don't know if they do this anymore, you had to take a test. And if you haven't picked up on this, I love tests. I love being challenged. So I took this like technical wine, beer, cheese test, knew enough to merit having a conversation, but that when I ended up talking to the one partner about who does all the interviews was chain restaurant culture, because he was fascinated by it, because that business at the time, this is 2011 that I'm starting there, it was very regimented. It was very controlled. It has one of the largest employee handbooks known to man.
And you walked into all this stuff.
And I walked into all of this, and I ended up talking to the one partner for a couple of hours about chain restaurant culture and libraries and whatever else. And then I talked to the other owner about God knows what at this point. And at the end of it, they said to me, because I'm going to remember this one forever, yeah, I mean, with wine and stuff, you don't know shit about shit, but we like your attitude.
Really?
So they started me as a support person.
And what exactly is a support person? Because it's not like it's not a traditional role.
It's a runner busser combined into one role.
Okay.
Yeah.
We tip you out. You don't get to talk to staff. I mean, you don't get to talk to the tables yet.
Yep. You polish, you run food.
Okay, cool.
And
and this is when Tria at that time
3 restaurants at that time.
Like and this is back when I was still in the city. Tria was number one. It was like the only place to go for a date.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like every single person.
So many blind dates. You don't even know. So many.
Imagine what kind of stuff you saw. But it was honestly, I mean, obviously Bill Eccleston and those guys down at the Pennsview did a lot of cool stuff. And there was a couple pretty good programs, but there wasn't anything that was that approachable to everyone. And Tria was certainly, in my opinion, back then, like one of the few spots you could go and get a weird glass of wine or a cool glass of wine. But it was like, it was approachable. It was not pretentious.
Absolutely. And, a lot of work went into trying to make it feel really fun. So much work went into this huge staff training program. So we would do classes, the same class 3 times a week. Every staff member was required to attend.
Are you on the clock for that? How do you get away with that? Can they still do that?
I don't think I can speak about what ended up happening with that, but let's just say you must be paid.
You should be paid.
No, legally you must be paid.
Right, because you're showing up for training.
It's a requirement for your job.
Right.
Yes.
But because I think about the culture of that, right? And of course, that's what I think any restaurant person, at least those who are engaged, they want to see that. They want to see people going to class and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like people have lives too.
Yeah. I have so many feelings on this topic because I think the biggest mistake that any type of business can make is not investing in the staff.
Sure.
And it's up to the business owner to figure out what the right way to do that is.
Balance.
But you can't hold people accountable to the highest degree if you're not providing them all the tools they need to do their job. So you can't ask them to sell wine they haven't really tasted. Like, I mean,
Right.
you know, the allocated stuff will be allocated
Right.
forever.
Right.
But,
Gotta taste that shop.
oh my God, all those Clos Regard bottles I bought blind. What? Just a
Just
good
but you
time.
have to. You have
Yeah,
to.
no, there's something, but you have to set people up enough to understand why those things are so limited and so special. And if you can't figure out the right way to do that, why would people stay? I guess, like, you know.
I guess one of the things that's so interesting to me, and I think it's something that's changed in restaurants, and maybe I'm wrong because we're going to get into this stuff too, but I remember, and maybe this is just me being like romantic or something, but I remember a harder to break into industry.
Oh, yeah.
That was certainly much more demanding of your attention when you weren't at work.
Yes.
And the understanding I have now is that it's just really difficult to get anyone to want to work in restaurants, let alone those who are willing to put any kind of effort in. And it's not to talk smack on the industry.
No.
It's just that the dynamics have changed so much.
It does truly feel, and this is a broad sense that I would apply to retail, I would apply to restaurants, all kinds of different food-centric industries, or probably beyond that. And then I lost my train of thought, of course. But
in general, workforce.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. It feels very like my parents or something to say, but like you have to work to get to the place you want to be. You don't get handed the place you want to be. And I think at the time it was good for me to be told you don't know shit about shit, but we'll put you in this environment to learn.
Nothing like a little challenge and chip on
At
the
least
shoulder to get the sadomasochism going.
No, but it is, you know, think about how frequently people will bring up, like, I would like to make more money.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
And the common question back, what have you done to earn that? Or what are you going to do to earn that? And it really should be, hey, here's where I went above and beyond. So do you now trust me to invest a little more in me and I'll keep going with this? But I think it's just as much on the people looking. And, you know, I feel like everybody complains about the industry right now in the sense of it's really hard to hire good people.
Okay.
But then, like anything, you should just take a look at, okay, so what makes my business the place somebody should want to be? What am I offering where people who genuinely want to be here are going to come here, they're going to put the work into it, and then I'm going to find the ways because it's my responsibility to help them continue to grow. Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's
easier said than done.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I think what's most perplexing to me now is just how much pressure there is to be great all the time. Because I think when I grew up in the industry, there were no Yelps, there were no Googles. And like, you know, you could really survive on making sure that your regulars stay that way.
Absolutely.
Right? And like taking care of the asses in seats kind of thing.
Yep.
And I think now, and it's something I never really had to deal with, is like there's so much pressure to deliver, even when the person who's writing a bad review may not have even actually ever showed up at the restaurant. There's so many dynamics and outside pressures now that I feel like the pressure on you guys is just, it's unrelenting.
Yeah. And also, you know, there's Instagram. Half of what you're doing is being photographed, videos, whether you know that you're in them or not.
Yeah.
People are trying to provide, like, here's the visual Dear Diary of my experience at this restaurant.
Oh, man.
But also, you know, a lot of these are subjective opinions. And
without a doubt,
you know, what if you had somebody training on the line that night and they didn't plate it exactly as you wanted and somebody was like, oh, this looks sloppy. There's just so many ways everything can be misconstrued. And, you know, it would be great if there was a way to say, like, let's all take a deep breath. Let's just remember these are opinions. Like, you should go have an experience and make a determination for yourself. Yeah.
Right? Like, Elio's always looks the same, but this is a people business.
Let me tell you, I buy my 4-year-old Elios now. They do look the same.
They always look the same.
They've always looked the same.
Every time I see an Elios, I think of like third grade. But Okay, so you
Okay.
at Tria started out in a role where you're challenged to take next steps, and how did that evolve, especially like as you're in school?
So it's a long, deep story that would never fit into one brief telling, but essentially I was working in the restaurants. I did talk to people, even though it wasn't my role.
You're allowed.
I'm a chatty person.
Yeah.
And gosh, what happened in the training classes? I was also asking a lot of questions, made friends with somebody who on that team was running the public facing education classes that they would do sometimes, the firm school.
Okay.
And by coincidence, my friend who I'm still friends with and still buy wine from and adore, Mariel.
Okay.
She was going to open the University City location.
Okay.
And so she was like, do you want to take the firm school classes? So I did all of the administrative side of that.
Okay.
And it was a lot. My first class was about Madeira. I was not teaching them, but I was setting them up, making the training sheets. It was a lot.
So I'm sure like if you've got a new class once a week, every week, like where do you even begin? Like who pushed and started that in the beginning?
That was the two original owners of Tria.
Okay.
They started that, and listen, they were ahead of their time.
Yeah.
They were pretty good at seeing things from the consumer perspective and really like trying to have a casual establishment, but where you also really thought about the details. And you know, they could be detail oriented to a fault.
Sure.
At times, and they could be hard on people. But what they were doing right was that investment in the staff and trying to make sure the menus looked nice, made sense for the people doing them. And so there was this third leg of this all that was cheese. And cheese is the best. And
cheese is uniting a lot of today's
It is.
Yes.
And the cheese director also left at some point in this time period. And they were like, oh, do you want to just go learn cheese? And I was like, okay. So I ended up just continually growing my role there every year because I took on doing marketing work. Like Instagram started and I was like, I can take a picture of a beer bottle. Let's do this. And
no way.
Yeah. So I just kind of took on more and more because that's my personality. I finished my master's and felt like, I can stay here a little bit longer. Like, I'm very content. This job is interesting. I'm networking and meeting lots of people. I met you.
Yeah.
Met you through Ryan Davis.
Yeah.
And it worked for where I was at that point in my life.
But I mean, it's a dynamic environment, right? You're like meeting all kinds of cool people.
Oh, absolutely.
There's never things not to learn.
Yeah.
It's one of the cool things I think about the industry, especially like cheese and wine is ever evolving.
Absolutely.
Right?
Always. And, you know, both are a portrait of time and place and make process, and no batch is ever the same of anything technically. And so it is a really interesting thing. But for the classes, basically the owners would come up with the topic of the week based on what product they wanted the team learning about or what was special going on. And then I would make training guides. So I would just very intensely think about like this one topic and what's needed. And then I didn't teach the wine and beer portions unless I was covering for somebody, but I would watch how everybody reacted. And then when I took over cheese, it was the same thing of, okay, what do I want to talk about? What do I want them to learn? How are they responding? And that's the thing that I think has set me on the rest of my little path here.
Yeah.
Because number one, it was a nonlinear foray into wine. And, you know, Tria also was a dominantly by the glass restaurant.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they still are. So it was very much like learn the base level of a lot of things. And sometimes they would buy special bottles for a special event or for a staff training to give you that bigger picture.
Right. But they're limited. In the costs that they can.
Exactly. But that was good for trying to explain like what does New World taste like versus Old World in the most basic level you can.
Yeah.
And again, so then I'd go through the steps 3 times, watch how people responded, write quizzes for the staff, and it just kind of worked. But as I picked up cheese, I got a cheese scholarship to take the certified cheese professionals exam.
I love all of this. Hold on.
Yeah.
So who does the cheese, certified cheese? It's called a
So that's
cheeseologist?
okay. So it's a certified cheese professional, a CCP.
Okay.
It's done under the American Cheese Society.
Okay. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a cheese sommelier, if you will.
Okay.
But
And is there, like the Master of Wine and the Court of Masters, is there competing cheese societies?
oh, there's so much stuff going on in cheese that's highly specialized.
Really?
And I'm very lucky to have been adjacent to people doing it as my career continued.
What is that test like? Do you have to do like, is there a blind taste and all that stuff?
I don't know if it has changed, but at the time, because this is going to be how I ended up at DeBruno's too, it was a technical written exam for that portion. There
Okay.
are other
And does it,
pieces you can do that are more about like technical wrapping and presentation and things like that. But this specific exam was like Scantron, essentially.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I did not pass. I'm just going to spoil that now.
No.
Uh-huh.
How did you not pass the
I know I
cheese
passed
exam?
everything because
Yeah.
I was self-taught for a restaurant on like the families of cheese. And then I got this scholarship and I flew to Des Moines, Iowa, where they were hosting the test that year. And I had just recently left my job at Tria for personal reasons and was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. I have no idea what I'm doing in Des Moines, Iowa, taking this cheese test.
What?
And I ended up talking to Emilio Minucci, so one of the owners of DeBruno Brothers,
Okay.
in Philadelphia, down the street from where I was working.
Okay.
But Tria didn't procure cheese from there. You know, cheese wars behind the scenes. Cheese wars. So I met Emilio, who to this day is still one of the people I'm closest to and
Cool.
adore most in life. And yeah, I told him, I was like, I got this scholarship. I don't know how I'm going to do. And he's like, you'll do great. Don't worry about it. And so I didn't.
You didn't do great.
I didn't do great.
But listen,
I just
you learn
failed.
from these things.
We learn.
Yes.
I had no business taking that test.
Oh, okay. So, how serious is this kind of like? Because I certainly have very like cursory knowledge on cheese,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot to know from the washes and the process, and
All the different molds, all the different federal rules.
Right. And
yeah.
then there's, of course, rules depending on the countries. And then there's
Absolutely.
specific seasonal cycles.
Mhm.
And then there's the types of cows. And then
Yeah.
there's types of sheep.
That is also a huge part of it.
Dude, there's a
And
lot to know.
There is a lot. And it's one of those things that if I had been more serious in cheese, it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating.
It is
but I was so surface level on what it was. And I'd done like the Murray's Cheese Boot Camp and obviously ate a lot of cheese. But this was like for people who are in this for their career.
But I mean, the rabbit holes go deep.
Yeah.
Right. And like, so how many people are at this exam?
Oh gosh, I think it was like somewhere between 75 and 100. Probably.
There's that many cheese
There
freaks.
are that many, and then there are the matriculated ones. There's a cheese Olympics situation that happens. I think it's in Switzerland because there's a woman in Philadelphia who is actually competing this year. So
What is that?
I don't know well enough to say it. Where other
Cheese
people can-
Olympics?
Yeah.
And I'm not making fun
There's like
of
a
this.
team.
It's wild.
No, that's like I know it has a name. I just can't remember.
That's
what
okay.
It is. Mondul.
It's just
like,
it never ceases to amaze me how wild the world of food gets.
it gets so wild. But so I said it was a Scantron sheet. Do you remember how a Scantron sheet like had to work?
Yes, you had to like, fill out like blocks, right, with pencil or whatever.
Yep. So you could have one right answer was the thing. But there were all these questions about pairing. It's
That's
like,
so interpretive.
yes. And this is obviously a test for like more creative people who are clearly trying to go into like some type of cheese related career. And I don't know, it just pissed me off. And then I found out I failed. And obviously I was very salty because I'm very competitive. But this is such a Karen thing to say, but I wrote a letter and I was really, really nice.
Okay.
And I just said like, hey, I'm not contesting any of this.
But what did I get wrong? That kind of thing?
No, I was just like, I would love to ask if you could maybe think about changing that portion to a write-in, because are there right answers to the classic pairing? Absolutely. But that doesn't make the other answers wrong.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you're applying some kind of like Stilton, right? And port, sure, right? All day. But
does that
why
make
not
Sauterne wrong? Yeah, exactly. So
taking the cheese out of my mouth.
So Emilio is on the board of the Cheese Society and is one of the people who received this letter.
He received it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
this was before, and he had already told you that you were going to crush it. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. But he's the biggest cheerleader in the world.
Cool.
If you weren't.
I've never met him.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
It sounds like a cool guy.
That's crazy to me. Yeah, no. And I think he either called me or emailed me. I don't remember. And he was just like laughing. And this guy has like one of the best laughs ever.
Okay.
And he's just like, you're so nuts. And he's like, but I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
I was like, that's a really interesting interpretation. And then we were just talking a lot, and he mentioned that for that test, because of Scantron multiple choice, they have to ask things that can come from a body of work you can study. And I was like, okay, well, maybe change your test. And then it turns out the woman who facilitated the test that he worked with also had a master's in library sciences. Like, a lot of things were just like kind of funny linking out. And I had, just recently quit my job at Tria. And so I ended up getting a job at De Bruno's. And
so what you're saying is, by virtue of the failure of the test and your relentless pursuit of some sort of closure.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now you start off a new career path.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this. Okay.
Yeah.
And so looking back on that, did you ever retake the test? Would you want to?
No. And this is why I'll tell people I don't want to take any wine certifications, because I don't feel that they're important to my chosen path, but it's also because obviously I'm deeply wounded and afraid. So
well, I think, and I have some friends that were in that quartermaster's class.
Yeah. That
they revoked a bunch of the people who passed. And, I think it's wonderful to like the community that develops around the pursuit and the journey and the tastings. I think that stuff is fantastic. But it's really, obviously there's certain things like, when did this DOCG start? Blah, blah, blah. Right?
Absolutely.
But then, like you said, there's so much interpretational stuff. And part of the beauty of like getting to learn things is like figuring out how to break the rules and all that stuff.
And think about how many years has like some element of fusion been exciting in the restaurant industry, however that means, of, okay, so there's this one classical style, there's this one other type of style.
Right.
Here's my take on merging the two.
Right.
Be it successful or not successful.
Right.
So that's the thing, like, creativity keeps us all going.
Yeah.
And if we were all only drinking the same things, only eating the same things, only going to the same restaurant,
what's the point of having it'd be so boring. Like
Yeah. So it just kind of takes everything fun out of it. But so I moved into retail.
And this was the first time you ever worked in retail.
This was the first time.
And I almost remember seeing you when you had first started working at De Bruno's in like the Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse, yeah.
It's Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal that the PLCB had allowed like normal stores to sell retail, right?
Yeah.
This was all part of like sweeping changes that happened across the state.
And so when I was hired, De Bruno's had a grandfathered license that they put at the Franklin store, which is at 8th and Chestnut. So one of the smaller stores, kind of an express-y store. I started in marketing, which was in the office above that building.
Okay.
And there was just somebody kind of like picking wine that they enjoyed. I butted my way into helping.
Okay.
And then we found out they were going to license the Rittenhouse store. And that was a huge deal. That was like, we're buying a license. We're measuring the square footage. It's all the back end stuff of retail of like how much stuff goes in what space. And they hired a consultant. He was an older industry gentleman.
Okay.
Very classic steakhouse
old school style.
Old school.
Yeah.
And I went to the wine tasting of what he was proposing for the set. And I sat with Emilio, and I think I was just like choking back laughter the entire time because it was just like, why do you need 40 Cabernets and 2 Sauvignon Blancs? Like, what is going on here?
That's the only thing you can eat with oysters.
Exactly. Oh, goat cheese and cab, delicious. But I somehow in that moment convinced him. I was like, why don't you just let me take a stab at this? Like, let me freshen it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I brought in Vine Street very early since Ronnie's back there and just pushed for. I'm very much a relationship person in all aspects of like, I care about the people I spend money with and like am trying to represent and tell their stories. So the reps who were nice to me in my time at Tria and who were really helpful, I reached out to those people first and was like, hey, I'm creating a retail set that barely exists in this state due to
every rule, archaic approach to.
Yeah. And yeah, so I'm starting a retail program where I'm buying everything at the price it is on the shelf in New Jersey, but like, help me make it cool. Help me make it fun. And somehow that really worked. I still don't totally understand it all the time, but
I don't either. And you know, it's one of the things that I think is very difficult. And I never envied the situation you were in because obviously, so the PLCB, for those who don't know, have very strict rules in terms of how things come into the state, the costs of them. There's all kinds of markups that you have no control of.
Because they're taking them.
Well, right. Johnstown flood tax, all kinds of weird stuff.
It's only been repaid over how many times?
And so you're walking into this environment where you want to compel people, obviously, to come in and buy cool wines. But you're like, how did you guys talk about even just your markups and stuff? Like, how did you try and was there a balance to it? Did you guys ever really like butt heads on those kinds of things?
Oh, all the time. But, you know, sometimes that'll depend on the state of the business and the state of the economy around you and what you can do. At the end of the day, number one, wine in Pennsylvania is prepaid, whereas the majority of the rest of the retail environment is 30-day net terms.
Yes.
So there was a lot that went into what is the weekly budget since we're paying out often days before we even receive the wine.
Oh, it's so crazy.
It's ridiculous. It's really rough on just like cash flow in general.
Of course.
Some of it was dependent on storage. Some of it was just kind of dependent on what could we do with this. Like,
sure.
So in the early days, it was really just guessing. And I think we set a margin that we had taken from one of the more perishable categories, which nobody else would ever do in wine.
Like cheese style?
Cheese, for a business like DeBruno's, cheese is, you know, a more significant margin because it's such a big portion of the business. But more like, let's say you would do produce or seafood.
Understood.
Almost in the sense of, I need to be able to turn this.
Right.
And I think everybody did view it as this is a benefit to the business. This is the completion of the meal, the completion of the basket, the completion of the cheese board.
Perfect picnic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. And, you know, it just, when it started, it was kind of just like, make it work, have fun, fix it if you mess something up.
Sure.
And that was great. And I will say the best thing was that we had a really vast sampling allowance. So myself and the team at the time, pretty much everybody who's been on my team, I'm still friends with.
Yeah.
In some ways, give or take a handful. And yeah, we would just open stuff. And I kind of had carte blanche. Like, if you're going to do something with it, like make it fun, get the team into it, and sell some bottles.
Yeah.
And again, Emilio would buy whatever I suggested he should, which helped. But it was really just like the whole company really ran with it. Like, it was doing well. It really outperformed all the expectations, which was still really exciting. And yeah, it was just special. And this is at the time when it was like DeBruno's and 320 Market were the two specialty wine retail programs, because
there's a lot more now, right?
There's so many more now, because during the pandemic, they decreased the cost of the wine expanded permits, and pretty much every restaurant got one to have cash flow and sell wine.
Insane.
So people like Buddha could spend $1,000 in the city instead.
So with that said, what were some things about the retail environment that you weren't expecting? Like, when you made that move, that's a huge difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what things about retail did you like and what didn't you like?
You could walk away from people when you were done talking to them, unlike serving.
Right.
But no,
you're not stuck.
You're not stuck.
You're like, oh, I got a phone call to take.
I have to go over there now. I think library sciences set me up for retail merchandising in a way that I could not have planned, because everything is about like, so what are your primary categories, right? And for De Bruno's, cheese, charcuterie. Some stores have meat and seafood. Some stores have produce, non-perishables, and bottle shop, which was inclusive of wine and beer. And everything within that, it's categorization. You know, like, okay, I'm doing wine. I have red wine. I have white wine. I have rosé wine. I have this much space. Like a lot of the parameters are sort of set for you. So at Rittenhouse, I had 12 feet of linear space. And I forget the height, but it was like roughly 120 facings of bottles on the dry shelf.
Okay.
So how do I build a set where that much product can be seen? Do I want to double face things to have more stock pack out? Like it was it was interesting how much minutia had to go into every decision. And that's why a lot of food and wine jobs are not as fun, glamorous, and sexy as everybody thinks. It's like,
well, there's stocking the shelves.
Stocking the shelves
is never fun.
Never.
And we talked a touch on inventory, like how, I mean, in what was a program, or maybe even currently is a program where but what was a program that was really aiming at bringing in cool wines and stuff.
Yeah. That was simple for me in the sense that the program had to match the cheese counter, right? Like
fair.
This business had been built since the 1930s on specific things,
super
historical
cool,
representations,
quality, right?
And yeah, exactly. That fusion of old world and new world again.
Yeah.
And made by people where they knew the majority of the makers. And at the time, there was such a tenured staff of people who were like, cheese really is a career for me, or this family-owned company is a career for me. And it was a really awesome place to be. Like, I loved the old company. And
well,
yeah.
and then
we scaled.
Right.
You know.
And then you had a couple different stores. The Italian Market store is a really cool store.
It is a very cool store.
And it's got such a vibe to it. And I lived a block away.
Oh, I know.
And,
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things to do was just go hang out on that big patio.
Piazza.
It's
a parking lot, but we get fancy and call it the piazza.
I used to call it the Rest in Peace. What was the guy?
Rizzo.
Yeah, Rest in Peace Rizzo Park.
De Bruno's didn't actually own that wall, but we took a lot of shit for it.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Jeez.
But, you know, everybody gets their own opinion.
Of course they do.
They do.
If that's one thing the internet is allowed.
Exactly. Well, that store was great because they own the building. Again, kind of an underserved area for a beverage retail at that point. And yeah, it was an old butcher shop. So the front window was like amazing cold storage. So we could have everything on the shelf, but also technically offer everything cold, which was huge for how many BYOs were around there. And we had a huge back storage. So that really quickly became the best shop.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
I like this.
Then the pandemic also did happen.
Well, like, I wonder, what was your experience like once you actually got a chance to like get out of the day-to-day restaurant operational hours and then started doing retail?
It was really nice, but I definitely learned about myself that I'm not a 9 a.m. person. I don't like being forced to be somewhere. And what ended up being cool was that the retail family I was in was still pretty PM centric.
Okay.
So I learned that I loved showing up at 10 or 11 to stay till 7. So, you know, I was the swing shift, if you will, except also owning and building this entire program and trying to figure out how to make it look the way I want at Rittenhouse and also look the way I want in the Italian Market and also in the Franklin and eventually the Wayne store as well, which...
The Wayne store, jeez.
Yeah.
Pricing the same across all the stores? Like,
I don't personally believe in doing zoned pricing in that, like, those businesses are all so close to each other. You can walk to 3 of them.
Yeah.
There had been a lot of suggestion about changing that policy, especially when they opened the Wayne store. I'm not a fan of that.
Okay.
I think as a business, represent one. Hard Rock did zone pricing. There were 3 zones.
I think, really? What
Yeah.
was Philly? The low zone?
Low.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The $8
But
burger
Atlantic
zone.
City, very high.
Really?
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yep.
Okay. And
No,
then,
so, yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot, but
and you did that for how many years? You were what
8?
Are you serious?
8.5, something like that. Yeah.
I thought it was like
Feels like
can't
a million.
felt like a million.
Felt like a million.
From the outside.
Yeah.
It felt like 2.5 years.
Fair. Well, so I really started that program in 2016.
Wow.
And that was taking over Franklin, launching Rittenhouse. 2019, we opened the bottle shop.
Okay.
And because we knew the bottle shop was coming, we also, I kind of ad hoc came up with a program where I was like, oh, we should have De Bruno's wine, but what would that mean? And I'd been getting pitched a lot of like cold call emails of people saying like, I would make a De Bruno's wine. I've never met you. You've never tasted anything from me, but I have all this juice. Want to put your name on it? And I was not into that. That's not my vibe. And Emilio had pointed out that every single De Bruno product he knew the maker for, like many times. That made us the same speech over and over again.
Okay. Yeah.
But I thought about wine the same way. And then we had one of my favorite producers from way back when, Hank Beckmeyer from La Clarine Farm, was in town, and I made everybody come taste, and we were so excited. One of my colleagues said, like, you should make a De Bruno wine. And I mean, if Sandy's cool with that. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. So anyway, we committed to 50 cases of wine, which at the time was like terrifying.
And what was the variety?
That was I went to California and I picked Barbera.
No way.
Yeah. Very short pick window there. So it ended up being Barbera Zinfandel. I got to do the cool, fun, romantic harvest part of like, here are the grapes. I'm crushing them with my own feet. This is the really cool thing. And like help out for a few days, flew home, and then starts the work part of it almost.
Selling it is the hardest part.
Selling it is hard. And also getting to a finished product for retail is a lot more than people realize. Like wine's a little bit more regimented, but consumer packaged goods, dear God, it's intense.
And was that a wine that you were able to redo for, once it was a one and done?
That was a one and done. But I ended up doing 14 of these projects in my time there.
No way.
Yeah.
That was probably the most fun part of.
That's what kept me there as long as I was there. And that was really lovely. So we managed to do a lot of harvest trips. Different staff members would get to come. The company really supported it because they saw it as an investment in people who were clearly wanting to stay, as well as the people who were going to be selling that product. We did the label designs, and the idea was always turn private label on its head and say who made it.
Yeah.
Like in partnership with De Bruno's, because
how many different wineries did you get a chance to work with?
Oh my God. It's 9 or 10. And then we also did beer. We also did a cider wine hybrid thing.
Whoa.
We repeated several times with Galen Glen.
Okay.
Because you should, help incur, like Pennsylvania wine can have a reputation. I feel that reputation will never get better if we don't do our part and try and bring it to the people. And
what was the varietal you chose for those?
Oh, we started with a Cab Franc Rosé. Okay. I was scared about using a Chamberson, but we did use it the following year, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah?
That was a great wine, actually. And we did Gruner Veltliner.
From PA? Mm-hmm. And it's pretty good?
It was really good.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, we got to be involved in the blending, and that was really the art of the whole thing. Like harvest is very romantic. Blending was really narrowing down, like, what do I want this profile to be? Yeah. And sometimes we did it at the winery. Sometimes we would just be shipped bottles and play around with beakers and stuff. And yeah, it was really fun. And it was a way to just start really, I think a lot of us can say we're into natural wine, we're into the story, we're into what this all represents. And then there's actually like doing something if you have the ability to. And
I think it's pretty cool that you guys did PA wines. I didn't even know that. Yeah. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we did. The only thing we never
Not saying I'm going to buy a case to collect. but would love to try it.
The only one I never we didn't get to the finish line was a South African wine that I'm still really sad to not
Doesn't mean you can't do it at the new. So let's talk about the latest iteration of your experience in the hospitality world.
My jumbling journey.
Yeah. So now, you left Tria a few months ago, right?
I left De Bruno's.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Bruno.
I left De Bruno's in like late May, early June. I think formally early June. And De Bruno's as a brand had been sold to a much larger company. The brand still has places it's going to go.
Just change a foot.
The existing stores were taken over by a local cooperative who took the operations, gave it a year, wasn't for me.
Okay.
So a collection of things happened.
Yeah.
I quit. I immediately felt like I woke up and had 1,000 ideas.
Well, I got to ask you about the quit.
Yeah.
Because it's few and far between the quality wine jobs that are in this market.
Yes.
And I can imagine also having grown accustomed to let's say the retail hours is also something that you have to take into account. So like for somebody who's listening that doesn't necessarily have like perspective on the Pennsylvania market and in the wine industry, like what was going through your mind in terms of like, where the hell am I going to go?
I was clinging to that job for dear life in the sense that there are not many roles particularly with the level of creativity and flexibility and freedom that I got to have in truly designing what I felt the set should be in the way that it could appeal to a multitude of people and behoove the business. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those don't really exist here because the margins are so incredibly slim. And
you created you helped create what is essentially like the industry itself of a high-end retail in PA.
I did. I'm very proud of that. I really loved it. It's truly like the most special role I've ever gotten to have. And I was hoping it would continue in a similar way in the new environment. There were not full agreements on that.
Let's look out for when the Clos Rougeard goes on closeout.
I think it already is.
Might be time.
I know. I know. You know, they
might be time to pay a visit.
I know.
So
yeah.
Okay. So then you close that chapter.
So I closed that chapter. Now I'm a parent. My husband is in restaurants as well. So he is director of ops for Sardine Bar, Tap Room, a bunch of South Philly corner bars that are awesome and tenured. And he supported for, my mental health that he was like, yeah, it's time to go. But definitely freaked out, definitely panicked. This great guy, Ronnie Sanders, gave me some great advice about stay while you can, stay while you can bear it, which I did listen to and tried to stick it out. And I don't know, I had a pretty free last couple of weeks. I had a lot of PTO.
Good for you.
And I used every bit of it.
Good for you.
When I left, I was like, well, who else am I even going to work for in this environment? Like, I've created something so special that I just don't feel right going to work just anywhere else. So I don't know. I founded an LLC.
Okay.
Called Friends in Wine. And so I feel like my role in the Philly wine industry has been a lot about, I don't come from a wine background. I've learned everything and tried to take that information and turn it around so that anybody can understand and enjoy it and honestly not feel stupid.
Yeah.
I take a lot of pride in I don't know everything, but I like finding the answer.
Yeah.
And so what I was doing at De Bruno's on the private label side, I had been calling De Bruno and Friends, and I was like, well, screw that. It's my program. So I founded this LLC. No idea what I was going to do with it. I'm still barely figuring it out.
That's the fun part.
It is the fun part. You're never going to grow if you don't leap. So I'm just doing a variety of things where wine can be friendly for people.
Okay.
And it is much more nuanced than that statement. But at the end of the day, that's the thing that I want to keep doing. De Bruno's was a retail business, but in Pennsylvania, you can't sell wine online. So with my background of journalism and research, I would always be framing everything as a story because the story is how people can take in at least the top level of information, and then you can go get more if you desire that. But we couldn't sell it online, so a lot of it didn't get used. So I started a Substack recently. That's the new statement from everybody. I started a Substack. But
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's like the live journal of today. No, it's a writing platform. You can do free or you can do paid.
Oh,
a lot of people who want to make money on content development.
It's like a Patreon of journalism.
Yes.
Understood. Okay.
I'm doing some consulting for some restaurant friends while I kind of figure this out. And my current kind of forward-facing role is I've been helping out at Pizzeria Badia for a few months, working with Joe and revamping their wine program and getting the staff to kind of carry through his vision.
I like it. So what does this require, this new role?
Well, they were very kind to me.
That's
and
good.
They said, carte blanche, as long as you can open the doors on Fridays and Saturdays to shorten the days. They were between managers, so there was a lot of staffing help. And it's down the street from me.
Perfect.
Do whatever you want. Within reason. Like they were.
So no Clos Rougeard?
No, there is Clos Rougeard there.
Oh, good, good.
Let me tell you, a thing I quickly learned from this experience and a few other friends that have left to Bruno's and ended up new places. When things that were awesome started becoming available in Philly, people grabbed them having no idea what to do with them.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I learned to do in retail and that I'm sort of trying to figure out how to bring other places is organization, right? Like how do things line up? How do you group them? How do you store them properly?
Sure.
What's the right amount you should have in a building at any point in time anyway? How do you make that accessible to the staff?
Yep.
How do you make that accessible to the guest?
Yep.
Is the restaurant even the right environment where you're relying on this brilliant server who can say 1,000 things, or is it batshit a zoo in there like every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night?
And you have no time to talk or anything.
No. And, that is kind of a reality. There's no perfect answer. You should put work into all of it. But so what I've been doing there specifically is I took over the wine program, opened a ton of cool wine that was in the building. So that was lovely. And I really just spent time with the staff and listened to what was hard for them and talked to friends of mine who had been a guest in that establishment.
Sure.
And, Joe Badia, who is the original owner, he's now with a larger group. He has a very particular wine taste.
Yeah.
And I think a big role I took was trying to make sure that team understood why we had those wines, what they went with, how to speak about them, because it's a very natural heavy program.
Yeah.
And you want to make everything feel unique and special.
Yeah, no, I agree. The natural wine thing, I've always thought in PA was a special relationship, specifically because natural wines are so much harder to pin down in terms of availability.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought it was a symbiotic relationship in a place where obviously like you go into a PLCB store and all the duck horns and all the other stuff is there. Mm-hmm. Natural wine has a place where it's a friend of the restaurateur.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can mark up appropriately and make some money and do something special. And it's not something that is like very replicatable.
Absolutely.
On a scale.
And I think that the industry has turned in a way where they're trying to, the big days, maybe not Duckhorn, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Duckhorn Natural Cabernet came out next week.
Maybe.
I think from both the buying and the consumer side, I think that's where, again, that story comes back, right? Of like, you pointed out, like the restaurateur can be friends with the maker.
Yeah.
Because the scales are able to play together a little bit better, you can find some really special things because it doesn't have to service 4 billion stores.
Correct.
Or the other thing is, like with natural wine, sometimes a lot of different types of businesses will just lean on like there's a lot of buzzwords, right?
Sure.
it's biodynamic, it's organic, which are real practices, but
Sure.
they are absolutely used as buzzwords as well. Natural is a buzzword in itself.
It's a great way to sell stuff.
Unfined, unfiltered. And then you're like,
Sure.
okay, cool. I can now say that about every wine here. So what else? And that's to me where it gets really fun. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this Fossil and Fawn wine is from my friends Jim and Jenny, who are in Oregon, and they share a facility with this guy Ross. And
That's cool.
and what I've definitely found is like that side versus just speaking wine jargon at people makes people feel so much more comfortable ordering or buying from you.
Yeah. I think the stories are the beautiful part.
The stories are so cool. They're all
the best.
small businesses too. They're real people. And then you find your little, like, you find your relationships, you find your ways, you see them every year. So, like, one of my favorites is Mick Craven, who's a Vine Street producer. He runs a family winery down in Stellenbosch, and he's a great guy, but he also is a distance runner, which I also am. And so when he's in the States, we run together, and that's become a tradition.
That's cool.
But I'll also love his wines. But like having the ability to throw in those fun little bits and just make winemakers human, because they are.
Yes.
They're just people.
Yes.
And especially when it's families who are concentrating each vintage on what they can do and where it's going to go, it's really cool.
It's the best.
It's the best.
And I think it's the best also to like you said, be able to connect the people who make the things all the way to a table where otherwise somebody might not have even tried it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, at DeBruno's, I was very lucky to have stores where I could ask makers to come in. We couldn't always support the travel of people getting here, but we
Sure.
would jump on any visit that we
Yeah.
could. And, you know, it just really felt like bringing wine to life in a special way. And that's what I'm still trying to do. However it pans out. You know?
I mean, listen, I think this is pretty interesting. And if you could figure out like the Dewey Decimal of wine organization, that's a very hard and I mean, even in my experience as a wine guy in my life, organizing wine is one of the
It's so hard. But like there's so many interpretations and ways.
Sure
and like,
is.
Space and storage.
And the only way to keep yourself sane is to be anal retentive. And
Yes.
all you do is piss everybody else off in your style of organization. Maybe what we need from you, Sandy, is show us the way on how to organize these archives and
It's true.
beautiful
Well,
libraries of wine.
I will tell you that my dream that I want to get to, but I'm taking my time to get there, is you pointed out the setting of a library earlier. So imagine if a library was a wine shop, but like beautiful atrium style, lots of natural light, but like also maybe a small cafe with a big wine shop and a place you can just hang out.
I think we just pretty much put the business plan together. Down.
I've already started it. You can read it.
Down. Down. Journalism, right back in.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy, it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
You as
I'm
well.
really excited. So where can we visit you? Like what days? How does this all work? I
Oh
want to
my
come visit you
gosh.
at Badia now.
I'm at Badia always Monday, Friday, Saturday right now.
Okay.
The rest of the week is flexible. You got to find me. I'm an enigma, just like you. And, I am on Instagram. My handle is Sandy, Saande. So Sandy, my name ends with an E. It's my mom. I don't know. I
love
like it.
her.
It's unique.
Yeah.
And then I started a channel on Instagram and Substack called Be Friends in Wine.
Okay.
And I'm figuring that out as I go. So don't judge it yet.
No, I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
Is it available for everybody?
It is. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. The Substack is Friends in Wine. All the other stuff is Be Friends in Wine, because that handle got taken by like a winery in Switzerland for one project.
Let's
I
go
don't know.
visit them and tell
I
them
know.
that they should give it to you.
I
How's
know.
that?
I tried. I wrote to them.
Well, I mean, we're lucky. I mean, we're friends through wine.
We are. We
and
are.
And it's one of the beautiful things about, I think, wine is it brings amazing people together.
It does.
Your story is really cool. It's interesting. And more importantly, I think you've done really amazing work in the Philly wine scene that has evolved dramatically from the old school days when the most interesting thing you might see is Schaefer Hillside. And I love Schaefer Hillside. I'm not talking smack. I'm just saying it has certainly changed. And I'm no doubt that it's going to be a lot of your hand that will be involved in however it evolves. So,
However it evolves.
yeah. Thanks for
Cool.
joining us.
Thank you. It's always so good to see you.
You too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
86 Reason Podcast was brought to you by Over Easy Office, outsourced bookkeeping solution.